Okay, folks, good morning. Let me know if you can hear me out there. All right, we're getting ready for natural gas. Let's go in the room. Oh, we got a minute. Let people get here because we're streaming. So I say it every week. Natural gas is a conundrum. Natural gas is a problem. In some ways, it's a good problem, but it's still a problem. And I'll explain what I mean. And I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna try and look at it again. We did a recent look at the stop because that's the problem with natural gas. The stop is big and the targets are small. So it really has bad risk to reward, which I normally don't look at. I don't usually care that much about risk to reward. We are not a discretionary trader. And I'll say that 1,000 times. Risk to reward is very minor for us because we trade so differently. If you have a report that's 9 out of the last 10, does the risk to reward on that report have any meaning at all in 9 out of the last 10 months that you traded it? No, it doesn't. But natural gas in 1 week can wipe out 2 weeks of a win, even 3. What if you have a target 1 winner? So welcome to the Natural Gas Storage Report, 10-minute trades, trading room. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10-minute trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. Jeff, you mean 1 to 10 risk to reward? Win 10 for every 1 you lose? Is that what you're saying? It's pretty rare though. If I don't know any reports that are like that. Natural gas is the problem. Is the stop on natural gas is 15. I've looked at it. We looked at it recently, and still think that 15 is okay. But I want to look at it again. I want to look at it once more. I just want to look at it once more. If we can trade natural gas with a 10 or an 11, then we might be able to deal with it. Maybe if we can also increase our target a little bit. Let me show you. Let's look, just for fun, let's look at last week's natural gas report. I don't remember what it did, so. And I have not been trading it live since we stopped calling it a family money trade. When we first started family money, we used natural gas counted. And it's such a difficult decision to keep it out. So last week, if I remember correctly, I think that people told me that people that traded last week live. Who traded natural gas last week live? Anybody? Keeping a journal. Did you get all three targets? Let me see if I made notes. Yeah, TJ, you traded it. All three targets were hit. So last week was a good winner. So you could make around 250 depending how big your third target was. So I think I might have a solution for natural gas. I might have a solution. First of all, if you're here as a family money trader, are you willing to risk the possibility that a bad natural gas trade could double the expected loss? That instead of being 400, it could be 800? Because that's, if you're going to trade natural gas, you have to accept that as a possible risk. So type in, if you're a family money trader, are you willing to risk a double loss on natural gas? Every now and then. It's not going to happen a lot, but it's going to happen. It will happen. As sure as I'm sitting here, it will happen. I just know the way natural gas behaves, and it will have that whipsaw, and you'll have to call your broker to figure out if you're in the market. I mean, that it will happen. Now, I personally would be willing to do it because there's so many good trades. Now, it's not 9 out of 10. It's not 9 out of 10, though. It's also weekly. It's weekly. Sometimes it hits target 1 and reverses. Calvin, if Calvin is here, what week? Calvin got stopped on a week that it looked like a total winner. I think it was 2 weeks ago. This is last week. Sorry, this is 2 weeks ago. This was the 22nd. Now, I think TJ trades it every week. Now, nothing hits 9 out of 10, Jeff. I'm honest. I was just trying to make a point. Nothing's 9 out of 10. That, to me, if I would have traded that, that would have hit all three targets on my computer. Just the way my computer works. But that week, Calvin got filled at the bottom of the candle and he got stopped out. That happens with natural gas. That was the week, if I remember correctly, that the contracts had mixed volume also. In other words, there was a lot of volume on the 8 contract and there was a lot of volume on the 9 contract because natural gas was getting ready to roll over. Then you had 3 weeks ago. Now, after I truly believe that natural gas as a family money trade, from the time that I took it off till now, and I have to go back and calculate the numbers. I don't do it every week on natural gas. I've got about 6 weeks to add in. I believe natural gas is profitable. Natural gas is profitable. That week I forgot I had gold on my wrong chart, but if you look at the move on the right side, it was a good natural gas move. Looked like a pretty good move. Look at this side. We were talking about gold in the room, and I forgot to change my chart. I'm not perfect. It was very fast, though. Let me see what my notes say. People could definitely have been stopped out on natural gas that day. That was the 15th of July. So let me see what my journal says. July 15th. Usually, if people have trouble, I note it. Possible target 1, heavy slippage. Heavy slippage that day. So it printed very fast, and there's a lot of slippage. That isn't also something that happens with natural gas. There is slippage. Slippage meaning you want to get an order at 30 and it might fill you at 35. That's what slippage means. Now, that's not specifically to natural gas. I'm just explaining a simplistic view of the concept of slippage. Slippage is getting filled not where you want to get filled, getting a worse fill than what you expect. Sometimes there's positive slippage. Sometimes you'll have a trade. And there will be slippage in your favor. You'll get taken out of the market 5 or 10 ticks after you expected to, because the market moves very fast. So that happens a lot, just as negative slippage happens also. They both happen. So you can't not trade something because of slippage, because you get slippage on both sides. Slippage would never be a reason that I wouldn't trade, because it's a non-factor. It might be a factor on one trade or two trades, but then there's going to be another two that it's in your favor. So it's just not, it's definitely not something we worry about. We know there's going to be slippage on trades, and we also know that sometimes it's going to be in our favor and sometimes it's not. And we've got years of trading behind us. There's pretty much equal good, equal bad slippage. It's not like there's a million times worse slippage. One of the problems with trading and with anything that humans do, you tend to remember the horrible things that happen to you. Those are the things that stick. And the great things, they kind of, they stick, but not as long as the horrible things. When you fell off your bike and broke both your legs, that sticks with you a lot longer than the first day you successfully rode your bike, or even the day you got a new bike. The negative hurts, and you keep the hurt longer. It is just nature. It's what we do. But for trading, it's a really bad thing to do, because you get so afraid, because you concentrate on those bad things, that it prevents you from doing what you need to be successful. You have to overcome. To be a successful trader, you have to overcome some of our normal human nature. Human nature to be afraid, human nature to hold on to the bad. That's why trading is difficult for some people. Some people can't do it. They just can't do it. And the interesting thing about traders is they'll never quit. Some traders rarely quit. They don't quit until they're in debt. Why is it that if you try to be a taxi driver, right, and you do it every day for a week and you hate it, you quit, right? You quit. Would a trader do that? No, they'll trade every day for a week, lose every single day, and they'll come right back the next week and keep on losing. Why is that? Why is that? I don't know, but it is true, right? Isn't it? They'll wait until their account's blown out, and then they can't trade, and then the party's over. Here's June 17th. It's just, these are the human natures that we need to overcome. Plus, You know, slow internet that day, uh, your computer crashed. There's all things, all the regular stuff that we have to deal with. You forgot to put your strategy on. You didn't change the chart. You're on gold instead of natural gas. Forget all the normal stuff that we all do. It's not a bad idea to have a checklist before every trade, right? Checklist. It's a good idea. That was a nice looking trade on the 17th of June. Pretty fast. Pretty fast. You should have a checklist and you should have a journal. The checklist should tell you what to do before every trade. Check your time, check your instrument, check your chart, check your contract, check your time sync, right? All the stuff that we do in the room over and over and over, you should have a checklist. It all seems rather simplistic, but most traders don't care. They don't do it. They just don't do it. They think, you can just get up in the morning, put on some random trades. Yep, you're on Sim for the best trade of the year by accident. Right, Fred. Fred, which trade are you thinking? Fred, are you thinking don't tell me, the grain report? Did that happen? The grain report? Oh. Which earnings? Which earnings? Which one? Which one? Amazon. Yeah. I mean, I didn't make that, but no, we made 330 on Amazon. We made 330, and I was like screwing up the orders too. I was definitely screwing up the orders. That was a tricky trade. That was not right. So Fred, that's the point. I mean, not only was it a tricky trade, but you can forget you got all the other normal stuff that you have to take care of. You got to do all the normal stuff. You don't want to forget. You don't want to forget to do all your normal stuff. So let's do our little checklist. So we are on the right contract, right? We'll check the DMM. Usually the DMM has the right contract. Every now and then, even the DMM can have a mistake. So you want to check. We're not perfect. I've seen some mistakes on a DMM. I have. I did check this morning, and natural gas 921 is correct. Okay. So I need to see a couple of really good stop outs on natural gas, and then I'll make a decision. So what do people think? Do you want to add natural gas back as a family money trade? Do you want to make it an optional family money trade with risk? TJ, what do you mean not today? TJ, was it you who traded bonds yesterday? And we had that conversation about bonds on oh no, I don't ever want there to be a stop out, TJ, especially if you're trading live. Were you trading, did you trade bonds yesterday on, what's the report? I'm drawing a blank. Yesterday morning, what do we have? ADP is what I'm thinking, ADP. Was that you, TJ? I don't think it was. But I wanted to apologize. Well, TJ, I wanted to apologize because you had asked me before the trade what I thought of bonds, and I was not very supportive. And after I wiped the egg off my face after the trade, you had two really good bond trades on ADP. So I just wanted to apologize for that. And not really apologize. I actually just wanted to thank you more for the heads up. I have not been, I looked at some data. I looked at data on bonds. It was not that impressive. But bonds are definitely moving on reports much more now than they did 6 months ago. And I like it if you can trade bonds on a report, because when they move very, very well generally. Less whipsaws than most other markets. Always good liquidity, always plenty of orders. And you have choices of different bonds and notes that you can trade. You could trade the ZB, you could trade the ZN, which is $15 a tick. ZB is 31 and a quarter a tick, or you could trade the ZF even, which is $7 and change. They generally on reports, big reports, will move in a similar fashion. So ADP has not had a history of moving on bonds, but we're seeing it's just like tomorrow. I've been watching the ZB on the US jobs report, and bonds, we used to trade bonds on that report, and it's moving a lot better than it used to. Way better. Anyway, let's set this gas trade up. So right click the chart, click on strategies. What does that mean? Step up on NG. What do you mean? Double click on the software. Now, our orders are for 5, 8, and 12. If we could make natural gas so that the report would work with 7, 12, and 22 with a stop of 12, if that would work, 7, 12, and 22, that would give us a much better opportunity. So that's where I want to do some testing. Or I should say, that's where I want to pay Chantal to do some testing. Today we're 5, 8, and 12, because that's the DMM today. I know, I remember that, TJ, that last week you did a slightly bigger third target. I really remembered that. I knew you did that. What have you been using as the stop? Have you been using 15 as the stop? I asked my boss to look at the stops. The entry time on this trade is 10:29:59. I asked him to look at the stops about a month ago, and he said he felt 15 was correct. Now, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I want to take another look because I want to change other things about the setup also. So I want to take a complete other look at it. I want to see if there's a way to make it so we can have it as a family money trade every week. It's trading great. It's trading great. You're never going to be able to get away from the problems, though, that are inherent in the instrument. And those problems are lower liquidity, higher slippage than many other instruments. That's why you can't be too greedy on your first two targets. I don't think 7 and 12 is being too greedy, though. I think I'm going to do some testing. I'm going to pay Chantal to do some testing, and then I'm going to make believe I did the testing and tell everybody I did the testing. That's how it works around here. Chantal does the work, I take the credit. Actually, it used to work that way. Not anymore. So 3 positions. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1, position 3 is a 1, profit target 1 is a 5, profit target 2 is an 8, profit target 3 is a 12. So targets of 5 ticks, 8 ticks, and 12 ticks. My stop is 15. Entry time is 10:29:59. That's on natural gas setup. It's a 10-second cancel, but it's pretty rare to not get filled on natural gas. It's very rare. It's very rare. Okay. You know, we used to say that about oil. Oil had 3 canceled trades. Don't forget to enable your trade. Oil had 3 canceled trades in a row. It was mind-boggling. It was so unusual. Let's check our sync. So that has to be on your checklist. Did you sync your computer? Time.is, we go to the website. All those things, time is exact. Just by going to the website, if you're lucky, it'll put you in sync. Otherwise, on the member website, you can download Dimension 4. You can also download Dimension 4 in the Room Drive folder in the trade room that you're in right now. If you go up to your taskbar, there's a folder labeled Room Drive, and Dimension 4, D4 time, is in that folder, and you can download it. Okay? On our member website, 10minutetrades.com/login, 10minutetrades/login, you can also download Atomic Clock, which is easier to use than Dimension 4. So, and sometimes people have a computer that's really troublesome. They just can't get it in sync, no matter what they do. So then you pull out all the stops, and you can use Dimension 4. If that doesn't work, you could try Atomic Clock. And if that, what the idea is, once you use those programs, you try each one individually, then you go back to time.is to see if it put you in sync. That's the idea, right? That's the idea. That link that I just put in the trade room lets you create an account, a free account on our website, so that you can watch the videos and download the software. Folks on YouTube, there's a lot of you watching. If a couple more of you would give us a like, please. Give us a couple of likes, if you would. Steve says pain is a greater mood modifier than pleasure. That's, I guess, is that true? Probably not for everybody, Steve. But we do remember the pain. I mean, when I got my tooth knocked out playing hockey, I remember that way more than the goals I scored. I remember that way more. My tooth was knocked out playing hockey. I remember that my whole life. When I got attacked by a taxi driver in New York City with a baseball bat, I remember that. I definitely remember that. And I remember the exact piece of pizza I was eating. So they're expecting a 21 billion cubic feet build in natural gas. So, and they're not even close to that in financial juice. They're expecting 17. That's way more of a difference to, to goof up the trade. I want to talk to the financial juice people about changing the format of the way they display their news so that we could use it in the website, in our on our trading screen. Now they have a gadget. They gave software for a gadget. Maybe I should have the programmer look into that. So I'm going to do a very short house cleaning update on our software, hopefully this week. I hope. It might take a couple of weeks because the programmer's booked up, but so if anybody has something that drives them crazy that they want to see changed in the software, send an email to help@10minutetrades.com. Help at the number 10minutetrades.com. And give me your idea. I'm not promising I can do it, but so let's see if we can tell what happens on the natural gas trade. Sometimes you can't always tell if you're not trading live. But my gut feeling is I I say it every week and then I change my mind when there's not a great trade, but overall I'm willing to take the risk of making natural gas a family money trade. People don't have to trade it, and they could trade it just with one contract. I think another perfect trade. I can't take it anymore. I can't watch this trade anymore. TJ, all three targets, right? All three targets. I cannot watch this report anymore. I can't. I can't. So here's the other problem, folks. If I make it a family money trade next week, you know we're going to get stopped out the first trade. It's going to be. It's going to happen. So is everyone going to kill me? Everyone going to kill me if we make it a family money trade? But then we have 6 winners in a row, right? Now, oil is not a family money trade. Oil stinks. Oil stinks. It just is not a family money trade. We may have another way to trade it. We have another way to trade it, right? I mean, we do have another way to trade it. Possibly. I should say possibly. But are people going to want to kill me? Are you going to want to kill me if natural gas stops out the first time we make it a family money trade? How many winning trades do we have to watch before we just bite the bullet? Right? Before we bite the bullet. So it's 2 winners in a row. You would have made $250 with a 15 tick stop. One loser would have cost you all of the profit except $50. That's what hurts. That's what hurts. Albert, you had positive slippage. Well, Albert, what were your... Okay, let's talk about this. Wait a second. Fred, you'll wait till I lose, then you'll trade. Robert, let's start with you. Were you live? Were you live? Number one. Vitaly, I will get to your question. Okay, so Robert, what were your where are you located? Where are you located? I'm assuming you're in the United States. And what settings did you use? Did you use the exact DMM settings? One target, your first target at 12 ticks? Stop 15. Robert, what's the speed of your internet and what kind of computer are you using? i7, fast? How fast? You should not have lost money on this trade. It should not have been a loss. KT, why was it so hard to make money on the trade for you? In other words, Robert, first of all, I'm not sure that you should be trading natural gas because you signed up for family money. Why are you taking so much risk? That's my first question. I don't think, and you're new. You should be practicing in sim. So I'm done yelling at you. Let's see if we could figure out. Can you send me your settings, Robert? Can you send me your settings? But tell me the speed of your internet. What's the speed of your internet? Who's your internet provider? And who's your broker? Who's your clearing broker? Let's see if we can figure this out. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. CQG. AMP. Okay. Okay. Everything should be fine there. It was an easy trade, KT. That's why I'm concerned. If you lost money, Robert, I'm worried that something in your settings was wrong. That's what I'm worried about. Send me a picture of all your settings. Do you know how to do it? And when I say your settings, right click and show me all of these settings and scroll down so I get both pages, 2 pictures. All right, Robert, send them to me. And you can send them. Robert, did you by any chance, and this goes for everybody should go new, Ninja script output, and minimize that chart and make it part of every trade you ever take. It should be part of every workspace. New, Ninja script output. It normally would be blank like this. It'll be blank. Minimize it. What happens is every move that the strategy makes gets copied into that chart, and you can copy it, cut and paste it into a Word file and send it to us, and I can have our programmer look at it if there's a problem. But you must have it as a part of every workspace that you have. So new, Ninja script output, and then minimize it and save your workspace. It's in my trade room workspace all the time. And then if you have a problem, don't remove the report, the trade, the strategy. Don't remove it. You can uncheck it, but sometimes if you remove it, all the data will be gone. Brian, I won't be able to tell by reading them. First, I want to look at his settings. The log and trace files, we can always get them. So Robert, send me all your settings and let me look at them and I'll get back to you. All right? But answer me the final thing. How fast is your internet and who's your internet provider? Is it Comcast or Fios? So that I would like. So Robert, let me tell you how to check your speed. Here's what you do. Go to Google, type in speed test, and then choose Ookla. Ookla's good. Ookla, and then go. And it'll give you your speed. Write it down. See, mine's a gig. Mine is frickin' fast. It is fast. Okay? Hey, Robert, I know most of your trades have been working out, correct? Most of your trades have been fine, correct? It can be an anomaly, too. It could just be one trade that didn't fill well. I mean, I'm not panicking over one trade. If there's an issue, I want to see if we can figure it out. Your fill was fine. Wait a minute. Your fill was terrible. If that's your fill, you were filled 14 ticks after me, Robert. That's really not good. And you're in Chicago. That is impossible to believe. Are you sure that was your fill and not your target? Look at the chart and it'll say LE1, LE1. That's got to be your target. That was my target. If that was your fill, it really was a bad fill. So, Robert, more things to think about. And this goes for everybody. Optimize your windows, okay? Google optimize Windows 10 and do it. Optimize your windows. Even more importantly, for trading, if you have to trade on your personal computer, the computer you do your word processing, all your stuff, then make sure you go to the taskbar and you go to Task Manager and make sure that you go to Startup and turn off disable every program at startup, everything. And then restart your computer. So you don't want your virus program running in the background when you're trading. You can turn them all back on. But you want a very resource light machine. You don't want to be using your resources. Okay? So KT, you're allowed to get nervous in a natural gas trade. Now, Albert, in sim, there's no slippage. So you got those extra ticks when it really would have been quite a bit less, just so you know. Sim does not have slippage. Now, Vitali asks a very good question. I watched your video how to find trades, but how to come with new settings for these events. So Vitali, not to be a smart aleck, but that's the hardest thing to do. I've got years of experience, right? Knowing an average of what setups are good. But it's really just a question of using replay or playback and testing different settings. So, if you have a similar report, let's say you're trading GDP and you want to trade a CPI report you never traded. You could take a DMM from GDP, type it into CPI, and start there as your base. And then know that you're going to have to adjust your start time. The most important elements of the setup are the bracket size of a breakout trade, bracket size, activation time, entry time, stop, and targets. Those are the four critical issues. Bracket size directly is affected by your targets. So if you increase your bracket, if you can, you might want to decrease your targets. Bigger bracket, smaller target. If you put a target of 10 and a bracket of 5 and you increase your bracket to 7, you might want to shrink your target to 8. You increased your bracket by 2, you could decrease your first target by 2. But it's really just a question of trying different setups with playback. On a very big moving report, Vitali, a bigger bracket does not always require shrinking the target. If it's a great moving report, then just finding the right bracket because of market volatility is not necessarily mean you have to mess around with the target, okay? If you have a great moving report, like the natural gas is a good moving report. I think our targets, as the way it's been trading now, are a little small. I think we can make the natural gas report worth trading. For smaller moving reports, when you make the bracket bigger, you might want to consider shrinking the targets a little bit, especially with the NQ. The NQ, if you want to trade the NQ, it usually gives you enough movement so that you can have a bigger bracket than most other instruments, and you can use a smaller target and just use extra contracts. So Vitali, it's a question of experience and seeing how reports trade. And then a lot of it is also not hit and miss, but trial and error. Trial and error. Testing, recording, watching, adjusting your entry time. I mean, there are certain basics, Vitali, that we always stick to, almost always. Entry times. I never enter before 58. So my entry, I most commonly try to enter 1 second before that event. If the event is at 10 o'clock, I try to enter at 9:59:59. But you can enter also at 10:00:00. I would not enter at 9:59:45. Okay? Although, look, who knows? Maybe that's a whole new way to trade. You might find a report that if you enter at 45, it's a winner. So I never rule anything out, but there are certain baselines that we start with. Keep an open mind always. And just, if you're really interested, it's just a question of testing, asking questions in the room. I'm happy. You can always bounce your settings off of me. And Brian discovered something about the software that I didn't even know. So there's so much to learn, but there's not so much to learn that you can't get started pretty darn quick. Okay? It's not overwhelming. It really isn't. And it's fun to learn, I think. I truly believe it's fun to learn. Chantal, so YouTube folks, thank you all. We're going to shut down now. We'll see you all tomorrow for the U.S. jobs report, 8 o'clock on YouTube. Okay?